episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Well, good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Do you like my new hair?
I love your new hair.
I feel like a new person. Everyone's like, what new hair? Still blonde, but...
No, but it's fully like...
Right.
It looks more natural. Yeah.
The way
but
you
know that I liked the roots too, and I know you were getting shit about the roots, but I like a
it's
drastic look
not
sometimes.
what I asked for, though.
And that's upsetting. And you know what? That reminds me of a time when I was in 6th grade and I went into my little hairstylist and I said, I'd like the Mary-Kate and Ashley, because that's when they were like hot stuff and they had the little bob. And she gave me a full bowl cut. And it was not what I asked for.
In 6th grade.
That is truly devastating.
In 6th grade, my sister was training at Paul Mitchell. And so she cut my hair. And I just remember I was like watching Napoleon Dynamite while she was cutting it. Such a 6th grade moment. Mm-hmm. And she goes, oh. You're like, my haircut. I'm like, Maddie, no. But look, this is the photo I showed when I first got my hair done. That's not
there you
really
go.
what I got when I first got my hair done. I'm going to just say that.
This is accurate to that photo.
And then this, I'm like, wow, that's a lot closer to what it took, like 7 hours.
It looks
God bless my friend
lovely.
who did it. But thank you. Anyway, just wanted to highlight that.
It looks lovely, lovely, lovely.
The other thing I wanted to highlight is you shared some really important information with me, a really vulnerable life shift.
Yeah, I want to be transparent with everyone right now and really just put it all out there. I cooked dinner last night. Wow. The growth. Thank you. Oh
my God.
And listen, I love our Green Chef and our HelloFresh.
Yeah.
Obsessed. The truth of the matter is, I will do that every once in a while, but it's mostly done by my husband.
Sure. Yep.
So we're grateful for that because he comes home from work and he has all the ingredients. Though, yesterday, I looked up a recipe. I went and purchased the ingredients.
That's actually like huge though.
It's huge for me. I just don't do that.
Right. Like,
I just don't do that.
Also, I just think it's huge when someone makes a choice that deviates from the norm. Like, that kind of gives me chills thinking about it.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's like, I don't know, when you've done everything like a certain way, doesn't matter what it is, and then you're like out of nowhere one day, you decide to make like a different choice. Like, that's so cool.
I appreciate that support. You know, I was feeling very inspired after our episode with Jessica Stone, which, by the way, if you haven't checked it out,
oh my God, you guys,
dropped on Tuesday. And Beck and I have been talking about it for like the past week since, and I was feeling so motivated to like be in my flow. And I'm like, you know what? My flow says that. And I told you, I'm like, maybe some of my not feeling great, maybe it's food sensitivities. And so I've been experimenting with that, and I've been feeling a lot better all of a sudden. You know, obviously I have other things that aren't that related, but I'm like, oh my God, I'm feeling better. And then I'm like, you know what? I feel like cooking. And I answered the call, and it felt so good. And I was so proud of myself.
That's
and
so cool.
You know what? Maybe I won't do it again for a while, but it feels like I'm like, maybe this is who I am now. This is who I am. Cut to me in a year, and I'm like on the Food Network, and I'm like, hi, it's me.
Wait, but you could do such a good show for like people that don't know, like that are like grown ass adults that like don't know how to cook.
Who have never learned how to cook. You know what?
You could share that journey.
We could have a really vulnerable show where I fuck up a lot and I burn shit a lot. It's kind of experimental.
I mean, that could go wild on TikTok.
It could. I mean, I won't lie to you. The salmon that I cooked wasn't, it wasn't flaky and buttery. Sure. But it was doable.
Yeah.
Evan said it tasted good.
Yeah.
Was he, cringing through it? Perhaps. But he was so excited for me.
A little lemon and butter on the top, and no one's going to know the wiser.
A little hot sauce.
That's what you start, man, that's what you just start learning with cooking too, is you're like, you just start like kind of putting things together, and you learn stuff like that. A little olive oil and lemon or butter makes everything taste better.
Right?
Just, I don't know.
And I had a moment with Ember because, Ember will help Daddy a lot with like the HelloFresh and Green Chef, and she'll help me too. But she barely ever sees me do that, to be honest. And she saw me making this meal. Yeah. And she saw it when it was finished, and she came up and she goes, did you make that all by yourself? And I said, yeah. She's like, you didn't use one of the boxes to help? I'm like, no, I made it all by myself. She's like, wow, it's amazing. And I'm like, thank you.
That honestly makes me so emotional. Just that whole journey. I'm so proud of you. It's like when I'm saying that, then it's almost making a big deal. Like, I'm so proud of you. You're so incompetent in the kitchen. But I don't mean it like that. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
but I
taking
appreciate
that step
I appreciate that pride. And I'm going to be real with you. I am. So
Right.
So it's not, I'm not living in denial. So I appreciate it.
I think the reason I'm so impressed too is because there are a lot of things in my life where, oh my God, the perfect example. I have like, you know, those tiles that you put on like your phone or your wallet so they get lost. I bought those 2.5 years ago. They've been sitting in my drawer for 2.5 years because the thought of just setting them up, I'm just like, I can't.
Exhausting.
I don't know how to do that.
Yes.
It's gonna be, I just can't. I can't.
It's a lot.
There's something wrong with me, you know, with that kind of stuff. But so I feel like when there's something like that, like cooking or, you know, like the equivalent for me might be like fixing something, doing the oil change in my car. You know, I'm like,
sure. Deleting
can't.
emails.
You're
Deleting
right.
emails.
Right. It's just like, just the process of not knowing how to do anything related to this process is so overwhelming.
Yes.
And I think you get so afraid of doing it because you're like, I'm going to feel incompetent and like an idiot if I'm doing this. I'm going to feel lost. It's going to be unpleasant. And then I think making that choice to then like try that thing, like if I looked up I don't know, to me, it's an equivalent of me looking up a YouTube video on how to, you know, change the oil in my car. And like, that would be if I took the step to do that.
It was for me, I'm like, okay, the only time that I do this is when I have the instructions and it comes with specific, you know, like here's this amount and here's this amount. And I'm grateful for that. But I'm like, I've never kind of really ever freelanced and done it just on my own. And it just feels, you're like, we did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
A new day, a new dawn,
Beautiful.
bitches.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. You know what's also sad? Speaking of a new day, a new dawn.
Yeah.
I've been taking all my notes on The Bachelor on like a spiral notebook because I get so, especially if I'm watching by myself, I'm watching with Gray, then I'm like talking, I'm bantering. I get so like inattentive to the show. If I'm on my phone, next thing you know, I'm like, you know, like ordering stuff.
Smart
and
move. Yes.
So that's why I've started just like putting my phone away and just started like writing. And it also kind of sears it in my brain too. But I left my notebook at home today.
You know what? First of all, I have notes here, so no worries. Second, I really don't think that there was.
There wasn't much.
There are a few big things to talk about. There's a few big things.
One thing, can I just start with this?
Yeah, please.
What happened to Logan?
What happened to... Where's Logan?
Is he gone now?
He's gone. He did not get a rose. He is gone. 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 After all of last week's drama, and it was half of the episode was about Logan, it disappeared.
But isn't he still on the ship? Like, they can't send him home with COVID.
Well, you know, also I have a lot of questions.
Also, Jesse didn't say anything to the guys about him having COVID. Do you remember that? He just said, there's a
situation with Logan.
They're like, is Logan all right? And he's like, yes. And didn't say anything more.
Well, the way that the preview looked, I mean, last week you and I were...
I'm like, is he fighting someone?
I'm like,
he brought drugs. You know what I'm thinking? Violence. That was my first thing. I led with violence. No, that was fucking COVID. We should have known.
And then he said, but when Jesse Palmer says to the men, there's a situation with Logan, and then he's just gone. I'm like, two factors here. Number one.
I want to hear from Logan.
I'd like to hear from Logan. Number one. Okay. Now you have these men thinking the worst of Logan. Number two, you are not informing the men that they potentially now have been exposed. Well, they have been exposed to COVID because...
And they cut the cocktail party, then they went to the rose ceremony.
Okay.
What?
I have a question for you. The logistics of this show.
Okay.
When there's a group date.
Yeah.
Is it really just one day? Or do they break it into two? So like they were at the daytime portion.
Oh no, that's one day.
Okay, so they were with Logan
all day.
Hours before.
I know. And they were all dressed up and ready. And also, when did they test him? Did they test him in between the day portion and the night portion?
Yeah, potentially. Maybe once, you know what it might be? Going from the outside back onto the ship. So maybe he wasn't even quarantined on the ship. Maybe he had to be quarantined like in a local hotel.
Oh my, and they just left him there in Amsterdam.
He's still there.
Oh my God.
He's taking on a new life with Susie, the dominatrix.
Instagram?
He posted a thing that was actually like talking about his process and kind of what he regrets and whatever. But I also want to say this. What the fuck? Saw a little clip with him, a little like red carpet clip where he was getting interviewed.
Yeah.
Where he basically said, here's the thing. As soon as the rose was offered to me by Rachel, I had some thoughts. I was going, is this right? But I said yes. And I thought maybe I'll sleep on it and then kind of come to a conclusion in the morning and have these conversations. And he said, well, then the next like 2.5 weeks went by and I didn't ever have an opportunity to have a conversation. So he basically let us know that he was not allowed to speak. But then he took ownership and said, you know what I've learned from this is when I had that little question, that little flag in the back of my mind when she gave me the rose, he's like, I should have just spoken up in that moment and pulled her aside. And he's like owning that, even though I think, you know, again,
I give him a pass and all that. I'm like, come on.
But I'm like, he's even owning that.
It's a high pressure situation.
But he was even just owning that.
Good for him.
I'm a little bit like, you know what?
But what the hell?
We'll see if and how he does on Paradise.
What the hell?
Becca.
And then why? Why is the cocktail party then canceled? Like, presumably they tested everyone. That's why, unless Logan was complaining of symptoms and then they tested him. But I think that makes sense what you're saying about getting back on the ship. That's probably what it is. So presumably all the other guys tested negative. Like you said, all of those people, Gabby, all of the other guys were there with him.
She was kissing him.
And then I'm like, so are we just going to not... I'm sure producers are like, we're just not going to test Gabby for the next week. If we don't have a test, we don't know that she's COVID positive. Like, what the hell?
Well, but also this is like, this is a Warner Brothers production. Like, you know how it's like on sets right now.
Sure.
They are strict and you have to be stringent. So I'm like, one of two things is going on. Okay? Because obviously...
He tested positive
for COVID, or... they all quarantined after and they just made it look like they cut that part out. Do you know what I'm saying?
Okay, that's true.
Maybe they then quote unquote skipped the cocktail party because they had to take a couple days off to quarantine and didn't include that.
Yeah.
But if he tested positive...
That's a good point.
But if he's on a Warner Brothers set and he tests positive for COVID, obviously if he was in Amsterdam, they went on the date and he goes back onto the ship, tests positive. We know it wasn't like, oh, I just contracted COVID an hour ago and I'm testing positive. Sure. So he's been around with everyone, exposed everyone.
Kissing Gabby.
All of that.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to be quarantined, not just Logan. At least for the next few days to continue to test.
Right.
Because even if the guys are all testing negative, that means nothing.
Yeah.
Because they could pop positive within the next few days.
And also, what if Gabby tests positive? Like, then the whole show's on frickin' halt.
Yeah.
And she's been hanging out with Rachel. Like,
it has to be either he quote unquote tested positive or they quarantined and didn't include it and made it look like they skipped the cocktail party.
That's a good theory. But then it also...
or else that's some really fucking shady, sketchy, unsafe practices. Right?
But then also, even if they quarantine, come on, she was kissing him. If he actually had COVID with how contagious it is, you're telling me no one else on that ship and living in close quarters with him, macking with him, you're telling me no one else tested positive?
We're on a cruise ship. Do you know how many people are on the cruise ship operating the cruise ship?
COVID first,
a potential that the men,
when the cruise ship had to be harbored in San Francisco Bay for 2 weeks with the people on it.
Terrifying.
Oh my God.
Terrifying.
Anyway.
But my thought is, if you're on a cruise ship, there's tons of people working there. Perhaps the men are super quarantined the whole time. Okay. But even so, one producer goes in there, then goes to someone working in tech,
and then someone who's making food. Got to eat 100%. That is, we're talking dozens of people, and you're telling me no one else gets COVID?
Answer us. Explain yourself.
Something is not right here.
No. I need answers. For the safety of everyone involved, I need answers.
Justice for Logan, too.
And also, can we not...
You don't get an exit?
Do you know what I saw Caitlin Bristow post that was so 10 out of 10 is she's like, I have an answer, a Zoom cocktail
That's
party.
exactly what. No, straight up,
like,
I was just thinking that.
correct.
But that's what's wild to me. Like, and maybe they just didn't show it because they didn't have time on the episode. I'm like, couldn't Rachel just FaceTime with him and like, what the hell's happening?
A quick little FaceTime.
Yeah, a Zoom cocktail
And just
party.
be like, hey.
I was kept picturing when I was watching like through a glass, like just, a bubble.
But she said that in an interview that she was going to be sending him home anyway.
Okay.
So I guess either way.
Maybe you know what? Maybe they did have a FaceTime where she said like,
Yeah, I mean, they probably did.
honestly, that okay. That makes me feel a little better because I was sort of like, how did this like, he's just gone. He's just
They
vanished.
left him in Amsterdam and they're taking off on the boat.
He vanished from sight. So I'm assuming, yeah, they must have had a FaceTime or something where she was just like, honestly, I just don't think like, even if we quarantined and everything, I don't feel like I know enough about you to meet your family.
Yeah, maybe they were testing too because they're ready to go to hometown. So everyone's going to be flying back.
Right.
They're having to do like maybe a 48 hours beforehand test or something.
That's crazy too. Find everyone's home. Yeah, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. Someone else in that crew got COVID. They had to have.
Oh, 1,000%.
I mean,
Come on. The numbers don't number. You know what I mean?
Okay.
They don't number.
anyway, okay. So this episode though, we start out with them talking about the Gabby's apprehensiveness for her hometown and all of her anxiety surrounded with her family stuff. They have that little chat.
Yeah. And then they're going to have their one-on-ones and Gabby decides to take Nate on a one-on-one.
And then immediately breaks up with him.
within 2 seconds. Less than 2 blocks, likely.
I'm glad she did because you know how the leads normally do it where they're kind of like half smiling throughout the day and the person's like, something's off. And then at the night they just burst into tears.
I felt, well, there's a couple things.
Okay.
Number one, I would like to address the fact that it's hometowns next week. And the way that this show has, because of the 2 leads set up everything, half of the men haven't even gotten a one-on-one.
Yeah.
That means they've spent minutes.
Was shocked. I thought they would do 2 one-on-ones this week. I was shocked.
Course. Minutes. And both leads took their one-on-one with someone
Guys,
who had already gotten a one-on-one.
Don't I know it. Don't I know it.
What? I mean, listen.
I get it with Nate thing because she wanted to.
No,
But then also, like, can't they give her another one-on-one?
Hook the woman up.
That was like 45 minutes of filming.
I think
someone else
I
on
think we
same date.
saw the entire thing because her breakup with Nate lasted about 20 minutes of the episode. I think we saw the entire
That was in real
thing.
time. I know.
Talk about a Bachelorette it.
So, yeah, no, both of them were with guys that they've already. I couldn't believe that Tyler on Rachel's side got a rose.
Oh,
The group date rose.
I was shocked that he didn't get a one-on-one.
Right.
I'm like, she's going to take him to hometowns. Never had a one-on-one with this man.
She doesn't know him.
You don't know him. You've
really don't.
spent 20 minutes with him. Imagine introducing your parents without ever having a one-on-one.
That happened to Kendall.
That's pretty wild.
And it happened on another season, the last something we've recapped at some point.
It just blows my mind. I would just be, if I was the contestant, I'm panicking. I'm like, I don't want to exit this show, especially if I am interested in the lead, but also I don't know you.
So Gabby picked Eric.
She, by the way, remember I said
I wrote that in my notes. That is one thing I remember writing in all caps.
I felt really proud about that.
Damn, Jess, she picked 3. So Johnny, Eric, Jason.
Yeah, and I was wrong. I thought it was going to be Nate, Jason, Eric.
Yeah.
So I was wrong
me
about
too.
that. But yeah, she only picked the 3.
Yeah. Okay, so that's crazy to me. And now I also think you're right that she might have picked Eric.
I'm starting to really panic right now.
And then I'm like, are they going to set Jason? I won't support Jason as Bachelor. I mean, I love him. I adore him. But don't do that to him.
I will marry Jason,
Right.
but Jason cannot be the Bachelor.
Don't
it's
do
just
that
too
to him.
much. Yeah. Don't break his spirit. It's not right. It's
No,
wrong. Okay?
it's wrong. I can say that definitively.
It's wrong for Jason. But yeah, and then Rachel has Tyler, Zach,
Avon,
and Tino.
I'm excited for all of that.
I am too.
So
I think
we know Tyler's going at home after hometowns.
I mean, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Again, still hasn't had a one-on-one with him. And I also want to talk about something that Tyler said later in the episode.
Okay. Back to the breakup with Nate.
Before we do the breakup with Nate, can we take a quick pause?
Yes, let's do it.
Pause here. Broads, okay? When you're stressed out, maybe you're stuck on a cruise ship.
Maybe.
Stressed out, you're tense. It can be hard to just get in the mood, the mood, sexy time with a partner, with yourself, whatever. It can just be difficult to shift gears when you've got a million other things going on inside your head. So let us introduce you to Dipsea, the wellness app full of short, sexy stories that will turn the world off and you on, baby.
Okay, the best thing about Dipsea, their library of audio stories. They have so many audio stories to choose from. They have literally hundreds new contents released every week. And I don't know how they do that because the production quality, like we've talked about before with these audio stories,
it's
incredible.
So good. It's
and
so good.
I've said this a million times, never corny. The audio, they have like legit actors doing some of these audio stories.
It's fantastic.
I need to petition and email them to have, who's the love of my life again? Oscar Isaac doing one of them.
Can you imagine?
Anyway, okay. But they have all these different situations in their audio stories that you can kind of vibe with. Maybe you've always wanted to hook up with your sexy yoga instructor. Maybe you have a thing for that cute coworker with the accent. They have so many stories to pick from. You're going to find something that tickles your fancy. And it's very inclusive too.
By the way, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. Shout out, you know who you are. And she was asking me, she's like, okay, I have to ask you, Dipsea. She's like, is it really not corny? Are you guys just saying that?
No,
because,
so
and I'm like, no,
good.
look me dead in the eyes. It is so hot.
The minute that we
download it immediately.
The minute we started doing ads for them, I like bought the year subscription and I was like, okay, I'm really impressed by this.
I purchased Dipsea before we started doing ads with them.
Oh, really?
And it has been quite fanciful for me. But anywho, just because they're famous for their audio stories doesn't mean also that that's all that Dipsea has to offer. There's so much more to explore. They have a collection of sleep stories for when you're having trouble just drifting off, wellness sessions, and now they've even got a collection of written sexy stories that you do not want to miss. Just pop in a pair of headphones, pick a story, and let the stress of the world melt away with the help of Dipsea.
For listeners of the show, Dipsea's offering an extended 30-day free trial when you go to dipseastories.com/chatty. That's 30 days of full access for free when you go to DIPSEA stories.com/chatty. That's Dipsea, like a dip in the sea, stories.com/chatty.
Listen, everyone, staying healthy does not need to be this big, overcomplicated 12-step, 14 elixir, 25 process, $1 million type of deal, okay? I mean, I understand why it might seem that way because, oh my God, there are a whole lot of wellness products being pushed at us all the time. Each one kind of seems like you have to have it to live your best, healthiest, happiest life. But you know what? I'm not sure that that's true. I've stripped it back to basics and I'm feeling better thanks to my personalized vitamin packs from Care of. Been using Care of now for
years.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
maybe?
literally years.
Yeah.
And we're talking quality over quantity. Care of's all about quality. All of their stuff, and you can see it on their website too. Everything that they offer you, it's researched back. It's got all the information. They're transparent about their sourcing, all that. So to get started with them, you take a short quiz. You identify what your health goals are, what your current lifestyle looks like, and then you get personal recommendations for Care of, or you can pick and choose whatever you want if you want to personalize your pack. And then, so all of your vitamins and supplements come in a plant-based compostable pack. So it's great for the planet and it makes it super convenient to toss a few packets in your bag or your luggage when you're traveling. That's always been the hardest thing for me is trying to stick by a vitamin routine. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to bring all 6 of my bottles in my purse with me. I mean, I could, but now I have Care of. So I just have packs that I can throw in close by at all times.
I have to say too, one of the best parts to me about Care of is the transparency.
Like I was saying, yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, or like Becca was saying earlier, there's a lot of wellness products being pushed at us at all times. It can be tough to figure out what you actually need. And when you get your Care of package, it comes complete with a personalized book explaining what is being recommended for you, why it's being recommended for you, and the science behind how it works, which just makes me feel better knowing exactly what I'm taking and why.
For 50% off your first Care of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code chatty50. That's takecareof.com and enter code chatty50 and you'll get 50% off your first Care of order.
Okay, so the date. First of all, the show should have hooked Gabby up with another one-on-one, but I thought it was just it was so telling of who Gabby is, with the fact that she chose to do a one-on-one with Nate to just, take the time, that it wasn't just like this side convo of, hey, before the rose ceremony, I'm going to let you know what's going on. I just felt like, I don't know, I really respected her decision, especially as a parent.
Totally. Right? Like, she's taking it really seriously and
So
being
seriously.
really realistic about the responsibility that she would be taking on, and also being aware of just her own fears in that. And just, I appreciated that too. And I also felt so seen with the way I do the exact same thing. She's like, and I just don't, that's like, I am so like that. The credit, just don't, no, why I feel like this. It's like that. I'm like, oh my God, I do.
You're like, yes, girl.
That's me.
No, she though, it was, the fact of the matter is this. She said, she's like, I'm not even sure if I want to be a parent.
Yeah.
And obviously, if Gabby ever chooses to be a parent, I know she's fearful about, like she says, not being a good one.
She's so aware.
Honey,
she's going to do a great job.
If you ever choose to be a parent, you're going to be an amazing, amazing mother. But so appreciated the fact how seriously she took the fact that Nate's a father.
Because we've seen that in other seasons where I'm like,
Yes,
where like Ali's just like, oh my God, I can't wait to be their new daddy or whatever. And you're like, oh my God, no.
You're like, whoa, hold on a second. That's a huge responsibility. Becoming a step parent is a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the step parents.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a big decision.
Yeah, take it seriously.
Take it seriously.
Yeah.
And Gabby really did. And it was so, again, just so telling to who she is. Now, on the Nate situation, by the way, what this means, though, we still haven't heard. I know that Dustin said he was going to come out and share Nate's story.
Yeah.
We still haven't heard from Dustin. My guess is because Nate is now off the show or was eliminated before Hometowns, which means he will be at the Men Tell All.
Oh.
So it's clear they're giving him a Bachelor edit.
Oh,
And we saw Mike Fleiss tweeting. So my guess is it will be addressed at the Men
that's really
Tell
smart.
All. Right?
Yeah.
So my guess is Dustin probably wanted to share Nate's story ASAP and might have to wait until after the Men Tell All if they are addressing it during the Men Tell All.
Yeah, which I'm like, we'll see.
I'm not sure.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll wait and see.
Yeah,
Wait and see and then discuss that.
I also couldn't help but wonder if like Dustin's tweeting that, and then I also wonder if he like found out information that was like, oh,
possible.
Who knows?
Definitely possible.
We'll wait and see.
We'll reserve and wait and see.
Yeah, that's true though. He will be at the Men Tell All. Yeah. Interesting. And I don't know who else is the other we'll talk about Tino when we get to Tino. I'm like, who else is the other choice for the Bachelor out of this cast? I mean, I guess Jason, but again,
there's no way.
No.
There's no way.
I don't even know if he would agree to do that, to be honest. He seems like the kind of guy that might be like, no.
If it's not Nate, they have to pull from past seasons, I would imagine.
Right?
Pilot Pete.
Bring it back, baby. I would be down for a round 2 of Pilot Pete. Let's go.
We want more. We want more.
Let's go. I'm ready.
My
Also,
body is ready.
I saw 2 black girls, 1 rose brought up Brandon again, which I completely forgot about Brandon.
I just got chills all over my legs. We are obsessed with Brandon. Oh, he would be such a good Bachelor.
Right?
We wanted him so badly as Bachelor.
I know.
And we were really upset because God bless Clayton.
God
So
bless
sorry.
you,
But
Clayton.
at the time, it was like, holy moly, we want Brandon. Give us Brandon. Oh, that would be so good.
I don't feel like he'll be on the beach.
I don't know. I know a couple people who are going to be on the beach, but I don't know about Brandon.
Haven't heard anything about him being there, so I don't think he will be.
Me either.
Interesting.
I don't know, though. I don't know.
Interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'd like him as, I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd like him as the Bachelor.
Would love. Even if maybe he's on the beach and it doesn't work out. And that's his Bachelor.
Nick Viall entrance into the
ushering
Bachelor.
into Bachelordom.
Nick Viall / Colton. Yeah, that's their entrance.
Love that.
I would like that.
Well, yeah, so Nate is gone. The men are shocked, which I would be too.
Yeah.
If I was one of Gabby's guys, I would have been completely thrown off.
Oh yeah, and then she came and had the conversation with them. Just like, which I saw memes and they were cracking me up, like, love when you go home and get to vent to your 5 boyfriends or whatever.
It made me so happy.
I love that.
Like, guys, but you know, they were very supportive and lovely.
Yes.
They did a great job of, I think they all really liked Nate, but they also did a great job of not acting too excited because one of their main competition is
They were
gone.
all like, God,
God, it's tough.
they're a great group of guys. I do think, and even the baby back bitch drama with Tino, which we'll get to that. It's like all of this stuff in comparing relative to other seasons.
It's the drama is a teardrop in an ocean of Bachelor drama.
And now I'm looking at, think about the previews now the Johnny thing, we don't know what's going to happen with Johnny.
That's true.
But all the other, it
could be just a breakup.
I know.
I don't think there's going to be the only drama can smell.
You know what?
Yeah.
The Johnny thing, she's just going to break up with him during the day portion of the date before he might make it past hometowns, actually. Well, there's only 3 guys, so maybe she'll take all 3 of the fantasy suites.
Yeah.
And then she will send him home before the night portion of the date.
Yep.
That's
you
what's
nailed
gonna
it.
happen.
That's what's going to happen.
So the drama that we've seen in the previews, the situation with Logan, COVID, Tino and him blowing up was him just being a little obnoxious and bratty for a minute.
Mm-hmm. And then, by the way, again, I don't know, we're jumping around, but Ethan said that, which just tickled my fancy when he said that. I love him. And then the next day he sits with him and he explains it to him and he goes, I don't want to invalidate your feelings, Tino. I'm like, how could these guys get better? Like, they're so mature.
And then Johnny, it's just probably going to be, she's going to break up with him. So all of that we're seeing, well, no, there was still the more, I didn't watch the preview like at the end of this week, but I remember watching last week's preview. There is the drama, it seems, with, I don't know, someone. Remember, it seemed like kind of fantasy suites-ish with their, yes, Avon.
But it looks like they're making it look, who knows, but they're making it look like there's going to be drama with Tino's family.
Ooh, fun.
With his dad. And then he's like sitting with her and he's like, sorry, I didn't tell you this before. And she's like thrown off. But again, it could just be, and it could be with someone else's family.
Yeah.
And they're making it look like it's Tino's.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm holding out hope for the drama. Still like the season regardless. But
I think it's been a fantastic
still like
season.
the guys. So Gabby has her little event sesh. That was cute with the guys. Good little bonding
Jason,
moment.
he's just like, can I give you a hug?
I'm
like,
I noted
Jason,
that too. I was like,
all of us.
sweetie. And then the guys are like, yeah, a hug, a group hug. You know, all the guys are trying to jump in. Like, yeah.
I was like,
I wanna
Jason
hug
was
too.
just listening to her with
We
his
also
sweet
haven't
eyes.
seen any drama with E-Rich, which I was like, oh, there's gonna the guys. It's gonna.
Listen, I'll be real with you. You know,
You kind of
talked
like
a lot
him.
of shade on E-Rich.
Me too.
Because I just thought something bigger was coming. And it feels like everyone's just a pretty decent guy.
I
So,
know.
you know, trying to at
We
this
were
point,
really pulling shit out of thin air.
at
Remember,
this
we're like,
point-
we saw the way he dismissed her grandpa, which I still stand by that. It was
I
kind
feel
of
like
annoying.
you really had an opportunity there, E-Rich, and you did not optimize.
Yep.
And I still didn't like a few of the comments, but I felt like at that point, we're really trying to dig to find any moment of potential future drama because there has been no drama.
It is week 6.
Minus
which,
what they're
like,
torturing the women. I mean, oh no. Oh, excuse me. Hayden. That was some real ass drama.
Yeah, true.
That
true,
was
true,
some
true.
wild shit
And
that
it's the
we
one guy we
observed.
really went off on our face reading. Wait a second, though. This is only week 6. So week 7's hometowns.
Mm-hmm.
Week 8. No. Week 7's hometowns. Week 8 will be Men Tell All.
Oh, hold please. I have the schedule. I just got it.
Thank you.
Bustle.com dropped
Thank
the
you.
schedule. Thank you, Bustle. Hometowns is next week.
Okay.
The Men Tell All
yeah.
is the following week. Part 1 of Fantasy Suites
Okay, that's what they're
is
doing.
Monday, September 5th. Part 2 of Fantasy Suites is Tuesday, September 13th. And then the finale is the following Tuesday as well, and then after the final rose. So the
Okay.
last 2 weeks are on Tuesdays, not Mondays.
Interesting.
Strange.
Okay, so we got. I was just like kind of perplexed of like, are they going to cut this season off like early? Like, how are we only on week 6? No, normally I don't think hometown. No, I guess it is week 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Hometown's week 7, but that's what they've done. They've broken up the fantasy suites. Okay. So 7 hometowns, 8 mental all, 9 fantasy suites part 1, 10 fantasy suites part 2,
and
11 finale.
The 2-part fantasy suite makes me scratch my head.
Right.
What's gonna happen?
Right.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
That means that's probably where the majority of the drama is gonna be this season.
Yeah.
Because we have hometowns next week, and the Men Tell All has their own episode.
Yeah.
And then a 2-part fantasy suite episode. And then the finale, and the same night, it's going to be AFR that same night.
Interesting.
So it looks like fantasy suite's going to be where the drama is hatching, honeys.
Fun.
Love some fantasy suite drama. I feel like it's been a while since we've had some serious fantasy suite drama.
I think and you know what? It might not just be the drama. They also might just split up each of the women.
True.
So they might do one episode for like Gabby and one episode with Rachel, which I will say, since we have had to split the time in half, it would be nice to see more of their interactions. You
mean actually get to know the guys a little bit too?
That's exactly what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
right.
Should we, since we're on Gabby, should we continue with Gabby's?
Yes.
Okay. So after Gabby sits down with the men.
Vent sesh,
then the next day, she has her group date.
which I loved. I mean, like,
so did I.
And
I saw people being like, "Oh, here we go again." I'm like, I kind of am obsessed
what's her
with
name?
this. Susie.
I loved Susie.
Loved Susie, the dominatrix.
I liked her because she wasn't corny, and I always like a group date leader who's just kind of like, come on, like, do the thing that I'm telling you to do. Get with it.
Dominatrix fashion.
Yes.
She dominated
She did.
and she ran that date. I was also obsessed with the fact that she was like talking about that she teaches boundaries for couples and new fetishes. I'm like, yes, that's what we're talking about. Boundaries, safe words.
I also actually thought she was going to whip them at one point. And I was like, whoa, like this is really getting kind of edgy.
Like, did they sign off on this? I was shocked that they actually did this date. They had to bleep out so much. I mean, you could guess what they were saying.
How often do you masturbate?
Yeah,
and
like do you enjoy giving head or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, for God's sakes, they've had the guys have to go on and teach sex ed to children, which is almost a little more fucking weird.
So inappropriate. What the hell, ABC? Jesus Lord.
There's nothing wrong with talking openly with children with
no,
sex.
but not with unqualified contestants of a goddamn reality TV show. I do not approve.
Sign them up for that. Weird. But anyway, yeah, it was so fun. I did love that Johnny was kind of getting into character with it.
Listen, Johnny and E-Rich are definitely open in the bedroom. Yeah. That's the vibe. E-Rich was living for it.
I kind of, he's like, I'll try anything twice, you know?
Like, all right.
I know. I loved that from him. I was just like, get it, E-Rich, get it. Yeah, I was vibing with him on that. I think Johnny was being like a little, what was funny to me is like, I felt like Johnny was just being kind of performative, having a fun time, doing all that. But E-Rich, I was like, E-Rich is over here like he's gonna get like a little chub going while he's getting tickled or some shit. I'm feeling the vibe over here.
Well, did you see when they walked in how E-Rich described Susie? He was like slicked back hair, leather. I'm like, oh, E-Rich likey. E-Rich likes.
I loved that. Yeah, but then I was so mad that the guys weren't answering the question.
I love you, Jason.
I know. Jason. But she's asking if he likes going down. Or I'm guessing she said, do you like cunnilingus? I think that's what she said. And I'm like, just say yes. Come on, whatever. Have fun.
But I understand. I know. It's out of his he needed to say his safe word. He needed to say cruise ship. That was out of his boundaries. He said he'll talk to Gabby about it, which I appreciate off camera. It's not, he's a little more private. Their safe words were cracking me up.
They were so good. What were they? Cruise ship?
So Johnny's was pumpkin. E-Rich posted later and he said, because we didn't see his, he's like, by the way, mine was pineapple.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, which, that's a swinger community thing. I'm like, okay, E-Rich. Okay. And then
You're also supposed to eat pineapple if you want to make your cum taste sweeter.
that's true too.
So maybe he had that on the brain too.
Maybe he was thinking about that too. And then Jason was cruise ship. Spencer was Albuquerque.
I loved that.
Love. And then Logan's was
Asbestos. That was awesome and creative.
Logan was making me laugh.
Yeah, me too.
Sorry.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so I liked that. I wish they had answered more of the questions. I also wanted to see her ask more guys the question.
Johnny had an interesting response.
What was the question to him?
She said, have you slept with more than 10 people?
I sort of thought he was going to lie and be like, no.
I appreciated that he didn't lie.
Yeah.
But his response was, do you know who I am? And I'm like, well, okay.
All right, guy.
Okay, guy.
Okay.
I'm like, you can just say, well, you know.
He reminds me so much of one of my ex-boyfriends, which is why Gabby, I don't think she should get with him.
I don't think she's going to.
No, I
I would
think
be
so either.
shocked if Johnny was the final
Absolutely.
pick.
That's not happening.
That would shock me.
I would bet my life on it.
But he was having a good time and he was a good sport.
Yeah.
And then when she said guessing in the hundreds, he was like, and then he said his safe word. He was like pumpkin. That was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, then, you know, the whole
I'd be
thing,
like, how many people have you slept with, Susie? Bitch, slut. Just start freaking out. Imagine if one of the guys started doing that.
just like say the most offensive shit ever. It's just like, we're like, oh my God, this season hasn't been dramatic at all. And then all of a sudden some guy is like
Starts
the most
going off, slut-shaming the
inappropriate, just
dominatrix.
slut-shaming, just like all of us are just shell shocked. Oh
But
my
no, that didn't
God.
happen. They were all amazing.
They were wonderful.
What else did they do?
Thank God.
The tickling thing, I couldn't help thinking though, like she did have them all stripped down. I'm like, what if one of them was, no, that wouldn't happen. With all the cameras and all the other guys, I was just like, what if one of them was getting like turned on? I'm surprised they didn't do a black box over anyone's dick and was like,
True.
shocked.
Yeah, I would have hated the tickling portion because I do hate getting tickled.
Grayson hates it.
I'd be so upset about it. Which Jason was. He was like, this is my worst nightmare.
Please stop.
Like, don't tickle me.
Please stop.
Was living for the fact that they put Carrie, nice work. You put Gabby in like thigh high leather boots on the Susie date. We
Love
appreciate that. But then, yeah, I mean, it was just, she was dripping hot wax on them. It was fun.
All the guys were being pussies. Most of them were, I will say. And also I felt like,
In what part?
like when she was, what did she do? Oh, the nipple clamps.
Oh,
It was like, I'm like, oh my God, stop.
Come on, you guys.
They were all like rolling around on the floor to be like, oh my God, stop with the whipped cream. I'm like, guys, just lean into it. Like, let your, just really feel your senses in this moment.
Yes,
okay, guys?
engage
That's what
fully.
if I were her, I would have been snapping at that and be like, stop, take this
you would have
seriously.
taken on the role of Susie.
No, I just would have been like, take it seriously. Stop being children about this. This is a sensual experience.
Spencer was really trying, and I appreciated that. You could tell like Jason was dying laughing watching Spencer. He was very out of his comfort zone, but he was making an effort.
Yes.
It's a good group of guys.
Yeah, they were awesome.
They were great.
Little did we know that would be the last we would ever see of Logan again.
I should have just really appreciated Logan. Really soaked him up on this date.
That really threw me off. Yeah, because then basically, next thing we know, Jesse Palmer's coming and everyone's like already ready.
Everyone's ready. Jesse Palmer is like, we have a situation with Logan. And then the next time we saw these men was because then Gabby wasn't able to do the cocktail party with them.
Right.
And it's straight to hometowns with the rose ceremony. Wild.
Yeah.
Wild.
I mean, the outcome would have been the same anyway. She probably wouldn't have given a rose to
Well, like she said, she
Spencer
wasn't going to
Spencer
give
or Logan.
Yeah, so she didn't give Logan or
set on her
Spencer a
three
rose.
guys.
Yep, she has her men. All right, on to Rachel. So Rachel's first date was she went with Zach again.
Yes,
we went with Zach again.
Oh, and they are in love.
Yeah, are you thinking that these two are?
It's it.
That's her guy.
That's her guy. That's her man for sure. I don't even remember what they did on their date. What did they do on their date?
Do you think they're trying to make Zach the Bachelor?
Couldn't be.
Like, kind of standard guy.
I think it'd be more likely they're doing that for Tino than him. But also,
we're seeing negative clips
I
of
know.
Tino that I'm like, they don't typically do that for a Bachelor edit.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're giving Zach more of a Bachelor edit.
I think they
than
really
Tino.
were banking on Nate until
Yeah.
everything came out, which they still might swing it.
They
that
still
way,
might swing
but
it.
I don't think they saw that one coming.
But, well, here's the thing with Zach that we didn't know until we saw the preview for next week's episode.
Yeah.
Which is that Zach has a famous family member.
Oh my God, yeah.
We see in the preview of Zach's hometown date that Patrick Warburton, aka Kronk, aka Putty from Seinfeld, is, via Googling, I found out, his uncle. And I have never wanted to date Zach more. I am obsessed with.
That's now his most interesting aspect of his personality.
1,000%. Patrick Warburton, I am literally obsessed with him.
I could see that. And I love him too.
Love him as Kronk.
Yeah.
Also, all my California Adventure friends, that he's the one who does the safety instruction video. He's like, welcome to soaring over California.
Yes. That's Zach's uncle.
It's Zach's uncle. Zach's uncle is the what's the line? Oh, the poison. Poison for Cusco. The poison to kill Cusco. Cusco's poison. That poison. I'm like, that's my king. I love him.
You're
also,
Kronk and I'm Ease. I'm going to put the box inside another box. And then we'll ship the box and put a flea or whatever. And then I smash it with a hammer. Oh my God.
Oh, I can feel it. God, what a movie. But yes, I mean, that's incredible. I'm so excited. I'm the most excited for that portion.
Yes.
Also, what I noted, which is a weird Seinfeld loop for me.
What?
Is that, and I'm sorry, I'm an 80s born child, so I know a lot of Seinfeld references. In the Nate breakup date, Gabby said, "It's not you, it's me," which is the famous George Costanza line in Seinfeld. And then at the end of the episode, Putty, aka Patrick Warburton, is in the clip.
Everything is connected.
Anywho. So
points for Zach.
Mega points for Zach.
They might.
I think they'd actually.
I was going to say, I think they could. No, I was actually going to say they could still make Tino the Bachelor. I was just thinking about okay, I think that Tia had a big shot to become the Bachelorette after our season if it wasn't for Becca. I know they had said the thing to me with the call and everything, but then just realistically with how everything played out with the weed farm and all of that, I think it probably would have been Tia.
The weed farm.
Yeah, Tia would have been the pick, if it hadn't been for the whole Becca situation. But so the equivalent of this week's episode for my season was the episode where she backstabbed me. Just kidding. But she didn't really look super great on that episode.
That's true.
And I will say the stuff with Tino is to me, drama light, just in terms of Bachelor stuff, negative depiction light.
Yeah. They're not trying to make Hayden the Bachelor.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I think that Tino definitely still could have a shot if he's the runner up, depending on how the next few weeks go. And if he becomes just more likable or whatever, vulnerable. Not that he's vulnerable. He is being vulnerable.
Who knows?
So back to Zach though and Rachel.
Oh, back to Zach and Rachel. Yes. Before we do Zach and Rachel.
Yes.
Want to take one more break. Quick pause, broads. Okay, so broads, I love my bedroom. It is without a doubt my favorite room in the entire house. Okay, so many situations, moods, times where retreating into my bedroom is the perfect fix. Okay, it's just my favorite place in the whole world, which is why I've been really putting an effort into redesigning my bedroom with Article. I want to make it just the safe, coziest space, the space that it already is to me, but I need Article to really help me,
pull it together.
Yeah, ramp it up.
It's funny, I've actually been kind of redesigning my bedroom stuff too. And Article, their options, guys.
So good.
Not just for your bedroom, but your whole house. They combine the ease of shopping online with the experience and curation of shopping in person. And Article's team of designers, they focus on just a few design aesthetics, for example, and timeless design aesthetics like mid-century, Scandinavian, bohemian. So when you're browsing, it's really easy to build out your room and style pieces together. Everything just kind of clicks. And once you find what you love, it just gets better because all in-stock items ship in just 2 weeks or less, and shipping is free across the US and Canada on orders over $999. And the shipping and their whole team is incredible.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. I have a handful of article pieces throughout my house, and every single time I am left completely impressed with the process. Like you were saying, they're great. From the ordering to the delivery to the quality of the pieces, I'm always shocked by how quality these pieces are. Article has perfected the art of home decor and furniture shopping, and that is not an easy task.
No, and it just makes the process so much simpler. You don't have to go through dozens of
you
pages.
Don't dread it. It's fun.
It's fun and everything's cute. Article is offering our listeners $50 off your first purchase of 100 or more. So also there's some great items on the site that are like $110. Use this code, you'll get that item almost half off. So to claim, visit article.com/chatty. The discount will be automatically applied at checkout. That's article.com/chatty for $50 off your first purchase of $100 or more. Article.com/chatty.
Okay, so Zach's date with Rachel,
What did they actually do?
in my opinion, maybe had my dream date scenario, like the most romantic. They went to the tulip fields.
Yes.
And they gave them a Polaroid camera.
Yes.
And they walked through the tulip fields. And then they got on bikes and they went to like the local shops.
That was fun.
And had cheese, lemonade from the random children.
Yes.
And then later went and had their beautiful like cathedral like dinner. And then were met by not a singer that makes you uncomfortable, a string quartet.
I know.
It was pure romance.
I know.
Oh, and then of course, don't forget they did manage to squeeze the hot tub in there.
Yeah, the hot tub was fantastic. Love the setting with that. And the only weird interactions they had with the locals was the brief clog visit. You know, they didn't have to go to someone else's fucking barbecue or whatever like they normally do.
How have what part of me has blacked out the idea that they normally have to go to like some person's family dinner?
On my season with CN had to go to like a random Italian family and like help them cook in the kitchen.
You're like, shouldn't I be getting to know the Bachelor, Bachelorette?
Why?
My
God. You're like, could we just spend this with their family or like, someone relevant to our journey?
You're like, come on. No, Zach and Rachel, it was idyllic. Like it was gorgeous. Like you said, the hot tub was even an amazing setting. I don't know what the shipping costs on this hot tub are. They have to be astronomical.
And I'll say,
unless they have a dealer in like every continent, they have like a hot tub dealer.
What the hell? You're so right.
Shipping,
for
dude.
Real.
Like they have to have a hot tub dealer or like a worldwide HT dealer all over the place. Numerous of them. Or the shipping is just wild.
Why would get like broken in transit? What are they doing with these fucking hot tubs?
I don't know. It's either one or there's hundreds. And they have the dealer.
They're expensive.
So expensive. Something to think about.
That and the COVID thing. In Logan's COVID. I need clarity. I need clarity.
I have a lot of questions.
Okay. Anyway, I think I had said before that I wasn't sure if they had chemistry.
Yes.
That was wrong.
They've got sexual chemistry. Now the question
She's like
the question is, do they have long-term conversation chemistry?
Well, I mean, they like both cried over their mom, so I think that's what they each need.
That's true. Bless you. Bless you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel, well, she goes, they can always be laughing about something and not taking things too seriously, I guess, even though I feel like they get emotional quite frequently. Maybe it's her guy. Like we said, the first time that they had their first date, we were a little bit like, well, he seems like a lovely guy, but like, we were both like, yeah, he's a nice guy. But he might be her guy. He
Fred
might be
needs butter. Rachel needs Zach,
He might be the best choice for her.
I think so.
He seems like a steady, consistent person.
Yeah, I don't think she and Avon or she and Tino would, I don't know.
Yeah, she does really like Avon a lot.
She does like Avon. She does like Avon. Zach, though, it just seems like I feel like she's just going to gravitate towards him because it just seems like the easiest one right now. It's like there's not even there's no thinking involved.
He's safe. And I was wondering throughout this episode if she didn't make certain moves with Tino in kind of her power. Because she seems a little more confident this week, where, the producers have given her a little bit of a respite, which we said, we were like, next week's going to be the mellow.
It's going to be good. We're like, it's going to be good for her.
She's going to be fine.
Yes.
So now I feel like she's feeling a little confident.
Yes.
Her like final guys are all really into her.
Yes.
And I felt like there were some points in the conversation with Tina where I was like, ooh, are you kind of withholding?
I think so.
In her power, which I love.
I think that's why when Tyler got the group date rose, I was like, the fuck?
Tyler? Tyler?
With respect, no, what? And I do think that was a choice.
I think it was a choice too.
I
love. I'm like, yeah.
If we were actually going for like a guy that she felt confident about taking to hometowns, let's be real, he would have gotten it.
Yeah, I feel like she knows Zach, and I feel like Zach and Tino are the two that, and she just had the one-on-one with Avon.
Which was great, yeah.
Which was great. Those are her for sure confident ones. And to give the hometown date rose to someone who's never had a one-on-one is a move.
And the producers are kind of fucking with Tino too, because also she gave the last rose to him,
Of course. They're like, we're going to torture Tino now.
Which, okay, what I will say about... Okay, no, wait, that's for the group date. Never mind. We'll say the Tina thing. So, yeah, I mean, she and Zach, but, their conversation in the night portion of the date, I felt like they were really vibing with each other, just even talking to, and it's just so funny. He's just like therapy. And she's like, oh my God. Like, it's just so Rachel. She's like, you love your mom? You do therapy too?
They had their moment.
I keep hearkening back to, for some reason, Ari's season throughout this episode, but I just remembered this moment where with Ari and Lauren, it was like, you put coconut milk, like they were literally like, you put coconut milk in your coffee too? I do the same thing. And it was kind of that moment for me.
And you know what?
Rachel, I'm like, you do therapy? Me too.
And you know what? It worked.
It worked.
It worked. Sometimes we don't need to overcomplicate things. You know what I mean?
Therapy has helped you. It helps me too.
And you know what? Therapy does help.
You love your mom.
Bless.
I love my mom too.
And it's wonderful to love your mom. We don't have to overcomplicate it.
So, I like them together. I think it works.
Me too. I like that he makes Rachel. I feel like he empowers certain parts of Rachel that it's nice to see.
I think she feels very desired, and she's just kind of like feeling herself. So, mazel. They're going to be great.
So then after the Zach date, which if he has to be in the top 2, right?
Oh, undoubtedly.
Okay.
I do think he's her guy.
I think he's her guy too.
So after that, then Rachel has her group date with the guys, which I loved the cheese holding lifting competition.
You mean the strongest man in Adam? I was obsessed.
And they looked so good. They looked yoked, as they say.
Would I have been more into finding out who the cheese king of Adam was by how much cheese someone could consume?
Poor Ethan. That would not have gone well.
Oh, I know. Sweet lactose intolerant king. I was like, let's see who can eat the most cheese, because that's what the amount of cheese, Becca, that I would have eaten whilst in Amsterdam. You know how much I love the cheese. I'm like, you take me to the city of cheese.
I love cheese too.
I'm just making my way through. I'm not carrying any cheese.
You're making your way through like a little mouse. You're like a little rat, just nibbling your way.
Nibbling through, just holes. They're like, why are there holes in all these wheels? And I'm like, well, I'm here. I'm not carrying any.
It's Jess, and I'm Swiss.
It all works out. But no, I thought it was so fun.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was great. I thought I would have just loved it from her perspective too. She's like, this is hot. Love them all being shirtless and love doing that. I mean, the feats of strength thing, it's fun,
Even though I did feel bad for like the locals who always have this, and they're like, why are there all of a sudden these 4 shirtless men? This is not part of our tradition. Maybe it is.
Also was stunned that Avon was the first one to go. I was like, out of all these guys, he looked like the most jacked to me.
I know.
And then it came down to Tino and Ethan. You know, I'm always rooting for the underdog. I was rooting for Ethan.
Oh my!
And it looked like they were agreeing to set it down at the same time. Like,
I think Tino was using some of his tactics. He was like, if you put it down, and he's like, no, don't. And he was watching him to drop it as soon as he did, but Tino withheld.
He did well.
And he thought that he was going to lose first.
I did get really annoyed. I was like, justice for Ethan. When they both like plopped them down. I know that Tino technically won, but Rachel immediately like is just running over to kissing him and stuff. And then she's like, oh, Ethan. I was like,
I know, I'm like,
sad.
I'm like, oh, Ethan crushed. He did an amazing job. He held that cheese for a long time. I don't know what type of otherworldly strength Tino was given in that moment to hold up the cheese as long as he did. I really don't know. But Ethan's out here lactose intolerant, eating the cheese, carrying the cheese, all of it. Tyler was like showing her his war wounds.
Look at my blisters.
His splinters.
I'm sorry. He just looks 12 to me. I just can't get over it.
Yeah, he does look young. He does look young. But I forget that that Rachel is 26.
Yeah.
Like, she's still young, too.
Total. I mean, yeah, isn't he like 28?
I think
or
so.
something like that. Yeah, I like all those guys. But anyway, he won, and then we go to the dinner portion of the date. I also thought it was funny. I will say this was weird. I thought it was funny when the guys were like, you know, if I was him, like, and I won the date. I'm like, he didn't even win anything though from that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Fully in line with this. Whenever someone wins a group date, it means nothing.
It means nothing.
Unless it means
more time.
So why on this show do when someone wins, I feel like everyone's always like, oh, well, they must be stoked. They looked good today. They won. I'm like, who cares?
Who cares that he held the wheels of
cheese holding? I mean, granted,
right?
You know, one day if Rachel doesn't choose him, he can go back to Adam and be like, I'm the king of cheese. And he did win that title.
Sure.
But in general, I'm like, why?
Why would that make him happy? Like, who cares?
Who cares? It's the same thing with like any of like the feats that, well, I don't know, any of the group dates that have singular winners.
Yeah, like you said, unless they get more time, which of course has happened. They get that one hot tub one. Didn't Zach like win a challenge and got like a straight up like, I'm thinking if someone got like straight up hot tub time with her or something from winning a date.
That does sound familiar.
Right? And I was like, whoa, that's a prize, you know?
Yeah.
But they didn't get anything. He just held up the cheese along. So I'm like, guys, why are you saying that he should have a good...
They're like, but he's the king of cheese.
Like, no, he doesn't care. He's like obsessed with Rachel. So, yeah.
But, by the way, while they were still at the cheese date, Tino was following Rachel.
Oh, he was on a path. And I did like this attitude where he was like, what did he say? If this woman's like my girl, like I'm not going to miss any opportunity to like.
He said, I want to make sure Rachel knows that I will always be pursuing her. Which Rachel has made it clear that she wants it to be known that she is desired. So in that breath, he is doing that. Right?
I think you're so right about her playing the game of not giving him the group date rose. I really kind of do.
I might have done the same thing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm finally kind of sitting in my power a little bit and being like, okay, you know what? I think he's getting a little too comfortable.
Yeah.
Because he is. He knows. He knows. And like all the guys said, well, Tino's the shoo-in. They're like, he's always winning. He gets the first impression rose. He crushes the dates. She's clearly so into him. He's the king of cheese.
he's the cheese wheel king.
The cheese wheel king. So if I was Rachel, I might be like, okay, I would almost want to see how this person would react to not getting exactly what they're expecting.
Totally.
I'd be like, well, okay, let's see here.
But what I do continue to like about him is that I like his spirit in this with Rachel. That's what I like.
He has gusto. He does.
He's spirited. Yeah. And I like that he is... I can understand how for her too, it feels refreshing for him to be like, I'm her guy, you know, like I'm gonna show up and like, you know, like and I want her to pick me. And I know that he was, I don't know. Also, he was, okay, this is what I will say. He was also fucked up at the end of that group date. He had wine. I don't know. His teeth were all.
I didn't notice that. Was he drunk?
His teeth were all wine stained. He was. I was like, something's off here.
Tino's like, listen, bitches, I just became the king of cheese. I'm drinking tonight. Papa's celebrating.
Straight up, he had his wine teeth, and he's just like, I don't. Yeah, and I could. I instantly, I was like, he's tipsy right now, and that's what's going on. He's like, I don't get it. You know, I checked all the boxes. I did my thing. Like, and this is bullshit. I'm like, he's had like 3 or 4 glasses of wine is what's going on right now, and he's having a temper tantrum.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. I didn't notice the teeth, but I'm like, the temper tantrum is real right now. He's like, I'm a king, and the monarchy always gets what they want.
I can't help but love it.
It was entertaining. It really was.
What was he saying? Like, he was gonna fight any of them?
Oh, I'm like, Tino, calm the fuck down, my guy.
What was he saying?
Yeah, he was just like, it was ridiculous. It was embarrassing what he was saying. Yes. He was like, if any of these guys swim in these waters, they better watch the fuck out. And you're like, what?
I'll crush them.
Here's the thing. To give truth be told, if E-Rich would be saying that, you know we'd be coming hard. So I feel like I have to be fair in that way. I have to be fair. It was
a display.
It was a display.
It was unattractive.
And it was a red flag.
Yeah.
I go, okay, is this what happens when King Tino doesn't succeed or get what he wants?
Yeah.
You know, I think, like I said, I think he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I'm not, my mind doesn't change.
I can't help it. My vibe, the vibe, the energy doesn't play into, I don't look at, I will say, I'll be the first to admit this, I don't look at actions objectively. I look, you know, it's like.
It's an energy thing that you're getting, for sure. And that's how I feel when I say, I think
you're
he's
right,
a good.
Be fair.
But to be fair, if someone else would have done this, I would be like.
I mean, and it was embarrassing.
It was embarrassing, and it wasn't cool. And if I was one of those men, I would be like, who in God's name does this man think he is? Seriously, congrats. And running off and just he was being a brat. And I would be, and that's why I loved when Ethan was like, he's being a baby back bitch right now. Yeah. Because that's what's happening.
Yeah.
Everyone has
And they were just like, he's having a shitty attitude.
And when you have like a room full of men who are being so mature about everything, and even let's think about how mature Ethan's being. He hasn't had a goddamn one-on-one date.
To that point, though, I will say that his emotional investment is at a different level. Not that justifies being embarrassing emotional displays, but I will say I don't think he's as emotionally invested in Rachel as Tino is. I'll just throw that out there also.
That's a very good point. Very good point. But then when you have a room full and you're like, listen, from their perspective, like when you saw Ethan,
like, I've been neglected the whole time.
Like, are you kidding me? Ethan is, and when Ethan and Avon are talking, and you can tell they're both nervous, and they're like, yeah, Tino's always winning. Like Tino, he's always getting it. Of course, he's going to be getting a rose. He'll go. And so then to see the guy who's clearly the front runner having a full blown temper tantrum, I'd be like, are you joking? Yeah. You've had this whole thing served to you on a silver platter. King of cheese. Okay. Stop. It's enough.
I think that the reason why I do also, one, I like his energy just in general, but also the reason I do take a point away or add a point from the points taken away from this display is also that I know he was saying the things of like, and some people were bringing up how he said like, oh, I checked all the boxes, whatever. And they're like, ew. But then also he was like, you know, I'm just like questioning myself.
Yes.
Because he was also saying this other stuff of like, I'm questioning myself. I'm questioning like, am I wrong about like our connection? Like all that kind of stuff, which is where I do see that like, I believe that he is really obsessed with Rachel and that he really, I'm not sure if he's in love with her. I think he thinks he is.
Yes. Yes, I feel like when I was seeing people saying like, oh, the comments make it sound like this is a game, right? Checking the boxes. I did this, and this. And then making it sound like a competition between him and the other guys. And everybody knows he's a super fan of the show. Right?
Oh, he is?
He's a super fan of the show.
I did not know that.
Yeah. He's been like posting about like Tyler Cameron from like years ago. He's a fan of the show. He watches it every week with his family. So he knows how this works, right?
And that's how, by the way, that's how Brian was on Rachel's season. Did you know Brian was a super fan of the show?
No, I didn't know that.
Brian, who Rachel Lindsay ended up with, was a super fan of the show.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and guys from his season have talked about how like the whole time he's like, well, what usually happened? Like he like had it all plotted out too.
And look
like
they've been happily in love for years. Here's my thing. When Tino said that, I feel like you can be a super fan of the show and like easily not be making it just a competition. Like, yeah, he knows what's going on.
Totally.
I feel like what we saw wasn't a guy who showed his cards that he's just trying to win.
Nah.
I think what we saw was a very emotionally immature display when he was feeling insecure.
Threatened. Yes.
Yes. He felt insecure. He thought he had it in the bag.
Yes.
And granted, this is a big rose. This is a
Huge,
hometown rose.
for sure.
So to him, like he said, this is like getting the biggest one. So to see Tyler get it, all of a sudden he's questioning himself going, like
Tyler's
he said,
never had a one-on-one, right? Like,
right. He's like, I thought her and I were on the
connection.
same page. And have I been blindsided the whole time? I was imagining him all of a sudden thinking like, are the producers laughing at me right now? Like, is it obvious?
Is everyone fucking with me?
Yeah.
Right.
Because he's watched the show and he knows that happens. So I think he had a very emotionally immature reaction to feeling insecure, which I think he needs to work on.
Totally.
But then the next day, I thought it was so wonderful of Ethan to sit him down and be like, I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings. I think it's clear to everyone that Tino really likes Rachel.
Right.
And then explain to him why his behavior wasn't cool.
Right.
And Tino was like, yeah, you're right. And they had a good heart to heart.
Yeah.
Now, I will say when Rachel did give Tino the rose, and then at the end, Tino was running the toast, the men seemed a little annoyed. They seemed a little annoyed. I
picked up on that.
And so it's probably good that it's hometowns next week to give them a break from him. Split them up for a second. Maybe there'll be fantasy suite drama because of maybe they'll put them all together like they normally do.
Which they've only started doing the last few seasons. They've only started doing that the last few seasons.
And you know Tino will not be able to handle that being in the same, because you know they'll give him the first date. So then he'll have to sit. Oh, first or last. So he'll have to sit for some time. Oh God.
Fuck, I think you're right.
Because you saw that annoyance. He's pushed them. He's pushed them a little bit, you know, especially the front runner. And it's clear. And the guys are like, are you kidding me? Now you're going to make the speech after that? Like, no.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh my, I can't wait.
Now, two things I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
In preparation for hometowns.
Yeah.
I thought potentially we're getting a little bit of foreshadowing going on with Avon's conversation with Rachel and with Tyler's conversation with Rachel.
Okay.
So
refresh me.
Rachel asked Avon if he ever has brought anyone home. And he's like, yeah. And he said, well, and she's like, how did your parents, did they like them? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, the first one, my dad kind of had a problem with. And the second one, my mom kind of had a problem with.
Oh, no.
And then she's like, oh, no, are they not going to like me? He's like, no, it'll be great. So I'm like, is that foreshadowing?
Also, poor Tyler. I was like, I didn't think he was getting a rose because when he said he said, my parents said if I'm going to bring another girl home, like she better be the last. And I was like, oh, I hope you're not bringing Rachel home to them because she will not be the last girl you bring home. Sorry.
Well,
I was surprised. I was honestly, I totally forgot until now. That's another reason I was shocked by him getting the group date rose. After that little conversation, I was like, if I was her, I'd be like, whoops, don't think I'm the girl for you.
Well, to me, what that comment was, and that's to your point, I didn't even think about your point, like, oh no, oh no, it's
and she knows it too.
Again.
She knows she's not picking him.
No.
So that's why I was like, when she gave him the group date rose after their back and forth, I was kind of like, whoa, that's a big validation for him.
Oh no, he feels real confident now. I was more thinking maybe it was just the way he said it, but obviously Tyler is so sweet and such a romantic. When he said, my parents said, if you bring one more girl home,
like, for sure,
and it's not the one,
for sure, like,
all I was hearing was he brings home girls so much and is like, Mom and Dad, this is the one.
well, 100% that happens. Like, it's probably every couple months.
So I'm like, sweet Tyler is like such
they're
a romantic.
like, no more family dinners with your new girlfriend.
And they're like, Tyler, I know that you think everyone's the one, but let's hold off. Like, that's the vibe. Maybe I'm wrong, but that was the vibe that I got. And I was like, oh no, Tyler.
If a parent says that, don't bring one more girl home. Jesus Christ.
Like, first of all, Mom and Dad,
what does it take for family
to say it nice.
Unless she's like, yeah, oh my goodness.
But now I didn't even think about the fact that he's bringing her home and he's going to be like, she's the one. And it's just going to be one more devastator.
Which there might be some drama with that, where the parents are like, Tyler says this a lot. That might be a whole thing. You know, you just got to understand from our perspective that we hear this quite frequently.
That might happen. We did not see a clip of his hometowns at all, which means maybe, I don't know.
Don't they get a date before?
A little bit of a date. Maybe she cuts him. But we didn't see any clip from Avon's either. Interesting, right? Strange.
Yeah, they usually do a date before taking them to the parents for dinner or whatever. Interesting. Yeah, the hometown date. Duh.
Yeah. Huh. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe she acts as the relationship before he meets the family. Maybe he during the maybe during the date portion before the hometown, he keeps talking about how this is like really a big thing because his parents said no more bringing girls home, and maybe she's like, well, maybe let's not do this.
Yeah, maybe.
Too much pressure. This
is the first time that we've recapped since they've actually gone to people's hometowns, right?
Yeah, the last Michelle's season, they rented the house out, right? And they just changed the photos on the mantle.
Yes, it was the same weird hotel suite Airbnb house.
They changed the photos on the mantle. That's so ridiculous. It's just let's pretend and act like this is not fully.
That was fucking weird. Remember that?
That was so weird. Yes, I think
that's
you're
the last
right.
one we recapped. So it's the first time since COVID.
You're right. Yeah, because we didn't do. I think they did they did hometowns with Clayton's. Yeah. No, so this will be the first. Yay. That's a lot of traveling for the camera cruise.
Yeah.
7 different hometowns.
Oh my God. I didn't even think
7.
They've got to have 2 different camera crews. They're filming simultaneously.
Or else they're just are you fucking kidding me?
But then again,
maybe that's why they made Gabby only pick 3. They're like, we will not make it 8. 8 is too many. Keep
real.
it at 7.
But with Jesse Palmer and the producers, maybe they do have to wait and do all one girl's hometowns before the next, right? Because the girls have been together the whole time. So it probably was a while filming hometowns.
I bet Jesse's not there. Because they never.
But don't
the host is never there.
I think the girls have a lot of the similar producers. So I think that the girls might have to come along.
That's exhausting.
Wait. Or maybe they shoot them at the same time and they're flying just all around. But I wonder. I am curious.
That's a lot.
Even the art department and stuff, unless they just have double of everything.
They just clone them.
This is another thing I want answers on. Please, someone.
Question. COVID.
But maybe that's something that girls...
are you clones?
I mean, that's something that they could answer, I'm sure. And I am curious about that. Did you guys film hometowns separately, at the same time, at the same week? Or did you guys, come... I guess we'll see, because maybe one of the girls will be along and will be like, how did it go with blah, blah, blah.
It's interesting if they do film them separately. That's a long time
long time away from the other guys. And then you don't have you still don't have your phone. So the guys are just sitting there. They're allowed to go home, right? How does that work? No, you're staying in a hotel in your hometown.
So you're then just quarantined with nothing while this other person is filming, where there's 7 other hometowns being filmed.
I think you fly to the next location.
All together?
I know that when the girls went to hometowns.
Okay.
they had a few days, depending on when their hometown was scheduled. I know they had a few days in their hometown to like, because I remember the girls were looking forward to like getting their nails done, getting their hair done, you know, getting waxed, whatever, doing a little shopping, pre-fantasy suites. Like the girls got to kind of like do that thing.
I love the prep for the fantasy
right?
suite.
So fun.
Yeah, like let me get waxed if I want to.
Yeah.
Or
they got to like, they got all that because they did have a lot of time during that week.
Yeah, let me get some nice lingerie.
But no, I meant
eyelash
like,
fill, please and thank you.
Exactly.
Because there's one left.
Exactly. Yeah, but then I'm not sure. I think maybe after having those few days, I think they flew next to the next location. Like each girl did separately. You know, it would be like your hometown date is first. You know, you have a couple days and then you immediately fly to like, you know, Trinidad or whatever you guys are going and wait for the other girls to show up. Because I do remember Kendall saying that she was like in a hotel in Peru for like a really long time.
Oh, God.
But maybe they literally didn't send her home because of spoilers and stuff. They might not have sent her home until after the final 2 thing. Because Kendall got sent home after Fantasy Suites.
Right.
I want to ask her this. I'm curious. So she might have had to just chill there until they were done with all of that. But anyway, doesn't matter. But I'm curious about all that.
Yeah, no, I'm interested with that because if let's be real, these logistics are important. Because if these men are having to literally bop around and then be quarantined.
Chill in a hotel for 10 days.
All over the United States, stuck in hotels, you're going to go crazy.
You're going to lose your mind.
And so then once Fantasy Suites arrives, you're losing it. It's important to know these logistics because it also informs you the mental state that everyone's at. Like,
absolutely.
Am I fully like full cabin fever?
Dude, if they did film the girls separately, that is a long fucking time to wait doing nothing. In fact, I was already reminiscing about, because this point in the show was when I went home, like this week. But I remember even then only being down to, wait, but now I'm curious about this in general with all of filming. Are they having to wait like even much longer? Because then they have to... do you know what I'm saying now? Yes. I'm like, wait, do the guys have like way more waiting around?
Because of COVID?
No, because, okay, so like every week there's usually, on a normal season, 3 dates, right? There's like 2 one-on-ones and a group date, or 2 group dates and a one-on-one, what have you. But on this season, there's always been at least 2 group dates and at least 2 one-on-ones, which means that there's just more time in between, because if they're not, I'm pretty sure up until now, they have not been like filming on the same day. Like, I don't think they're doing 2 one-on-ones at once or 2 group dates at once at all. Right. So my point being, there's just more time for the other guys to wait around, because you just have like even more days of downtime because there's an extra date every week.
Think about this. Think about if Logan really did have the COVID and they went through the correct protocol of the quarantining, and these guys are coming off of, and the women coming off of being quarantined separately on a cruise ship,
5 days, straight
into the rose ceremony, straight into hometowns.
No, that's very emotionally intense and mentally intense.
That's a lot. Sounds horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
This is why Paradise always just sounds so much better, even though I know
everyone always makes that sound like hell.
I would just be thinking though, like, I'm like, we can always just be with each other.
Totally. Hang with a friend, whatever.
But I remember hearing, I think it was McKenna talking about how they were,
oh my God.
They were like told that they were going to be there soon on the beach, and they got stuck to like the last week, fully quarantined.
That's terrible.
A nightmare.
That's terrible.
And that sounds horrific. Just waiting.
Maybe it'll be tomorrow.
And your nerves are building too, right? You're just sitting there like, oh,
just you're redoing yourself Tanner over and over and over again.
Oh, yeah, remember we were talking about, oh no, that McKenna had all of her inspirational bracelets, and she had like all the things pasted on the walls. Like she was just every day cutting out scrapbooks, just like vision boards, just like, I can do this. Nightmare.
God bless. Well, anyway,
bless.
we'll figure out what their mental states are next week on The Bachelor. Cannot wait.
Yes, we will. Cannot wait. And make sure to tune in to the Bros tomorrow because they're covering 2 episodes. We'll see how much they cover, but they're covering 2 episodes.
All right.
All right, Bros.
Chat soon.
Chat soon.